This is Erie News Now.
With the lake effect in full swing, Erie News Now has live team coverage you can count on. Ethan Kibbe is in our mobile storm tracker, watching conditions for your commute. John Stalin is following the conditions in Summit Township. We begin with David, who's been tracking everything from our weather center. David, what is the very latest?
Well, that lake effect snow band that has pushed on through the area, or at least is currently pushing through the area, has been on quite the trip today.
There's having an impact on the commute home for some people across the region. Ethan Kibbe is in our mobile storm tracker with a look at the live conditions. Ethan.
Hi, Mike. We just got off of Interstate 90 West and we're about to swing on to Route 8. We're heading toward Wattsburg. Let me give you a look at how the roads look right now, and you can see for yourself what we're dealing with and what you'll be dealing with, folks, at home as you start leaving the office and heading home. Right now, one of the issues is getting stuff kicked back up at us. You'll see that there's a little bit of streaking on our windshield, and the reason for that is that we've just been driving behind vehicles and there's a lot of slush on the roads, and so that stuff gets spit back up at us.
The embattled Erie Coke plant on Erie's east side suddenly closed its gates this morning. Here's what we know so far. Some of the plant's more than 100 workers found that out this morning when they showed up to work, only to be turned away at the plant's gate. Now, Erie News Now has been following the plant's numerous air and water pollution violations, and we've just learned within the hour that officials from the state's environmental agency, the city, and plant officials will be meeting later this afternoon to develop a plan of action. And just minutes before we came on the air here, we also received a statement from Erie Coke Corporation. The Erie Coke Corporation announced today that it will be discontinuing operations because of the city's cease and desist order regarding wastewater and the impact on the company's finances. It also reads, quote, "We are deeply disappointed by this turn of events and the permanent silencing of a local manufacturing operation that has been in existence since 1833. We share the frustration of our hardworking employees with the current circumstances and regret that we were not able to salvage the business and its good-paying manufacturing jobs. This is truly a sad day for all," end quote. Erie Mayor Joe Schimber says that the Erie Coke news, in his words, came out of the blue, and he said the city started to hear the rumors late last night that something might be happening today, but they weren't sure until that news broke earlier this morning. Now, our coverage you can count on continues with Paul Wagner, who spoke with Mayor Schimber this morning. He's joining us now from City Hall. Paul.
The mayor said that his thoughts are with the workers at Erie Coke, now without jobs just 1 week before Christmas.
And the fate of those workers is a big deal for many here. And after hearing that news of the plant's closing, many of those Erie Coke workers gathered at their union hall to discuss what would happen next. Our team coverage continues with John Lass, who joins us live from the United Steelworkers Union Hall on 7th and French Street to tell us what exactly they were discussing there. Hi, John.
Well, Jonathan, even though the Erie Coke plant is now closed, union employees will be busy today.
And like John mentioned, we were covering throughout the summer the battle that was going on with the DEP over numerous pollution violations there at Erie Coke. And now Erie Coke is closing its gates this morning, turning away all of its employees except for maintenance employees. Our Leanna Schwerer was there as some of those people who were expecting to go to work had to turn around and go home. Hi, Leanna.
Hi, Jonathan. Well, employees had no notice that the plant was going to be shut down this morning. Many of them now frustrated and unsure of what's next for them.
Locally, that hundreds of people are now without a job right before Christmas. Brianna Andrews spoke with some environmentalists about their thoughts on Erie Coke's sudden closing. Brianna?
Amanda, emotions are high after Erie Coke employees are suddenly without a job just days before Christmas. Erie Coke broke down its shutdown process. Take a look. So today, 106 workers were laid off, and unfortunately, this number is going to continue to go up. In just a few days, 21 more people will be laid off between December 20th and January 2nd to January 21st. By January 3rd to January 16th, 5 workers will be laid off. And finally, by January 17th to January 30th, 17 workers will be laid off, and that will be it for all of the employees. Now, I also spoke with environmentalists who are not in favor of the chemical plant, but they did say that they did not intend for any of this to happen.
We begin with breaking news coverage you can count on.
The Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, is holding a news conference from Washington about an investigation into the president. 6
committees will investigate under the umbrella of an impeachment inquiry.
Let's join the news conference now, already in progress. Or just getting ready to get started right now. We'll go to Washington now.
Good afternoon.
Coverage you can count on. This is Erie News Now at 5.
Erie desperately needs change right now. We've been going downhill since the late 1960s.
Mayor Joe Schember introduced a plan today that sets 5 major goals for the city.
Now that plan includes measuring sticks on how to reach those goals as well.
Good evening, I'm Amanda Post.
And I'm Mike Ruzzi. Thanks for choosing Erie News Now.
We'll have more on those goals in just 5 minutes.
But tonight we begin with weather coverage you can count on. And John Stalen, yesterday you talked about thunder snow and now the possibility of being in the 60s this weekend.
Yeah, we could even get close to a record. We'll talk about that in a second, but a little warmer today, but the winds are starting to pick on up across the area, and that rain that we've been talking about, maybe not as much, but still a lot and still on the way. Take a look at what we're looking at here. First warning weather, Doppler Max.
John Last was at the presentation. So, John, what makes this plan different?
Well, Mike and Amanda, this plan is different because it not only lists goals that city leaders want to reach, it also contains measurements to determine how well those goals are being met. Now, let's take a look at those goals. Number 1, celebrate Erie's rich cultural diversity. Among other things, this goal calls for increasing the number of minority candidates for the Erie Police and Fire Departments to 15%. Number 2, create welcoming and vibrant neighborhoods. Among other things, this goal calls for having at least 100,000 people counted in the 2020 census. The mayor believes they are out there. He also wants the city's murder rate at 0. Number 3, showcase the city's world-class downtown and bayfront. As part of this goal, it's to make sure efforts to better connect the waterfront to the downtown are funded and under construction. Number 4, provide excellent education for everyone. Working with the Erie School District, the plan calls for, among other things, to make sure 90% of students are achieving a 95% attendance rate. And it calls for a 50% reduction in behavior incidents involving African American students. Number 5, create an abundance of family-sustaining jobs. So this includes 1,000 net new jobs. It calls for increasing income for city residents and expanding the workforce living in the city.
Take a look at our gas tracker, and I'll show you what I mean. Right now, in the Erie metro area, prices up 13 cents to $2.95 for an average price. This is according to AAA. Statewide, $2.80 up a dime. Nationwide, $2.65 up nearly a dime. And this does compare to last year. You can see last year the prices were actually higher, but definitely prices are up this past week.
Thanks, David. And that weather does look beautiful, and it's a great night as well to go out at the major festival in Girard. The 54th annual Dan Rice Days Festival is taking place this weekend. This is a live look at that festival right now, which tonight features a food truck alleyway, a car cruise, and live music. Now, Dan Rice was a circus clown who lived in Girard from the 1850s until the 1870s. The celebration started out as a way to mark the 100th anniversary of a Civil War memorial in town. Since it started in 1965, the festival has steadily grown each year. Activities are located primarily in Girard, with some events taking place around the community.
Erie News Now has breaking news coverage that you can count on. Just moments ago, we have learned a teenager is facing charges for taking 32 handguns from the C&H sports store in Corey. Jamestown police say they've arrested a 17-year-old in the theft of handguns from the Warren County sports store. Pennsylvania State Police investigators identified the suspect using numerous pieces of evidence recovered at the scene and by working with Jamestown Police and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. They then obtained an arrest warrant Tuesday. The suspect is currently in custody of the Jamestown Police Department. His name is not being released because of his age. Turning to weather,
with coverage you can count on, this is Erie News Now at 6.
Good evening, I'm Mike Roos.
And I'm Amanda Post. Thanks for choosing Erie News Now. We've got some breaking news coverage you can count on this evening out of the Fairview School District.
The Fairview football team has forfeited its game this Friday night.
Gary Jopshow is joining us now with exactly what we've learned. Hey, Gary.
Thanks, Amanda and Mike. You know, injuries are part of sports, and in football, the increased awareness of injuries is very prevalent. With that in mind, Fairview has decided to forfeit its football game this Friday night at home against Mercyhurst Prep. Erie Sports Now, John Lighting headed out to Fairview, and he got more information about it. Let's join us live for the latest, JD.
Yeah, good evening there, Gary, and welcome out to Fairview High School in Keck Field, where breaking news this afternoon is the fact that Fairview will not be playing Mercyhurst Prep in a game here on Friday. As you can hear the national anthem going on as they have a soccer game here tonight. But here's what we know at the latest hour about this high school football game that was forfeited by Fairview due to a lack of available players due to injury.
But our Jonathan Skinner is live now on the ground for us in Dayton, Ohio, and he spoke with some witnesses.
Jonathan, what's the scene like right now?
Well, Mike and Elisa, the scene right now is still a very somber one. As you can see right behind me, they have taken some of the tape off. There was tape lined up right here because this is the street where the incident occurred, and they all happened less than 24 hours ago. Now, there's still a lot of people in the area right now, and on this street, they will be holding a vigil tonight to help and to remember those who are lost, as well as be there for the families and friends of those who were affected by this tragedy.
Jonathan, you know, as we looked at the video, it kind of looked like a war zone there, people being treated who were injured, people being carried out. How emotional has this scene been while you've been there today?
Well, the emotions are still running raw right now. When I first got here, it was so quiet, you know. And usually you would think on a day like this, a Sunday, a beautiful day outside, you'd see people walking up and down, enjoying themselves, laughing, hugging. But when I got here, you could hear basically a pin drop because of how silent, how somber it was in this area. But the people here are coming together, and they're coming together to support one another, and that's something that they'll be doing at the vigil tonight, which we will be at, and continue to give you coverage from here in Dayton. For Erie News Now, I'm Jonathan Skinner, reporting live from Dayton, Ohio.
All right, thanks, Jonathan. A short time ago, we asked former FBI agent Jerry Clark to share some insight on the incidents this weekend.
Jerry, welcome. Thanks for joining us. So how familiar are you with the Oregon District in Dayton, Ohio? You actually worked there?
Yeah, I spent 6 years in Dayton, Ohio on a violent crime fugitive task force for the FBI, so we spent a number of years and a lot of our time down there.
And that's our report for this evening.
Join us for Erie's only 7 p.m. news in 30 minutes on WICU 12.
Good night.